And you can start. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is our second from last day to go of our summer festival. And what we try to do is invite a whole range of creatives from top, middle, and bottom, and new learners and new thinkers. And Anouk's work, I've seen many times on Instagram, and I've seen she's kind of a new person to the space. And it's nice to hear younger voices trying to learn. So I guess Anouk, the same question I've asked most people is, as you're quite a new character to the world of live events as well, is what attracted you to live events and what has brought you into this market and a bit of your journey and things like that.
With pleasure, with pleasure. So let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Anouck. I'm 24 years old, and I entered the world of live event illustration only last year, 2024. And the story is when I was in business school, I did an internship. First internship was in Chanel, and that's when I discovered the job of live event illustrator through the work of well-known illustrator of for luxury houses, Johan Propin. And I still remember very well this moment. I was on a break with a colleague, and she told me, "Oh, a few months ago, there was someone who was there who sketched our portraits, and we just loved it." And she showed me his work. I was so amazed that this job exists because it actually mixes all of my passion, so art, drawing, and drawings, art, fashion, and people. And I remember that after that, I run straight to an artistic shop and bought my sketchbook, and I couldn't stop sketching. So this was in 2021, and since then I haven't forget. Like it was still running in my brain, and I was like, I want to wait before launching my own business, but the passion was too vibrant last year, and I was like, I want to try it now. So I launched my business in the UAE because I'm based between the UAE and France. And yeah, and I had my first contract this year. So this is more about the story. I don't have any artistic background. I did like a classic, I would say, scholarship in France. I did a preparatory class, enter business school. And when I was in business school, I was still participating to some drawing competitions. Always like amazed by the world of fashion industry. That's why I did all my internships in the fashion industry and luxury industry. But my goal, very goal, was to be able to be a live event illustrator one day, and I didn't expect to be that soon. But yeah, I mean, in a few months, I'm already very glad with all the events I've been able to do, especially in the UAE, and I hope it will continue further.
Good, good, good. And I think it's nice to hear that because the live event industry is growing really rapidly. We're seeing it's almost like a bit of a gold mine. And I was speaking yesterday of how we're going to have to work the market because obviously once the market grows, saturation happens. So it's how different characters navigate the space of live events. How do you become an individual in the live event space? How do people desire you more than others? All these little things that are going to become quite big characteristics of what is it to be a live event illustrator. And yesterday said it's a bit like a DJ. Is you're the most important person really in the space because you bring the creative vibe to the environment. And I think that's what's quite magical about what you're doing. And the other part, which I quite like, and similar to some of the other speakers, they've come from business backgrounds, they've diverted from other spaces. So you don't have to necessarily come from an art background. And I think that's quite important that, and yesterday, Dallas, one of the other speakers, had said, she really thought about the financial side of it, that it's so important to be a professional. It's a professional's job, and to take it serious. And I think and that's sort of where you're kind of thinking. And I think Dasha said the same. Her background was business, and she thought about the business of fashion illustration. Where do I go? to
Mm.
survive. So let's check out this portfolio.
Yes, for sure. I'm gonna share it. Do you see my screen?
It's trying to share. Here we go.
Okay. Okay. Eh, so yeah. Uh, I'm sorry if you see yourself also there. I will try to hide it. Okay.
I can see you and your
Okay.
screen.
Great. So we already talked about my background, so I don't want to talk about it again. Um, but as for my style, so my very first inspiration for live event was this Johan Propin, this artist, because he's got really like a roll doll. I'm not sure if I pronounce it well, but very illustration. For child at first, but then he enlarged it to the luxury word, and I was inspired by him at first, and then throughout my journey, I met other live event artists with whom I talked to, and I saw their work. So I gradually found my own style in the artistic world, but I would say, to put it in batch, that it celebrates elegance, color, and I really try to capture the soul of the person I'm drawing, capture um, her main elements, I would say, on her silhouettes, distinctive elements. And I really try to be very fast. You will see after that I'm on the fashion week most of the time because I think it's a great exercise to challenge your speed at drawing. But I would say I would draw a portrait in 7 minutes. Usually that's the maximum time I would allow me to do something for the person. Using always watercolor. For a long time, I was using pencil watercolor because I was convinced that watercolor was too hard to use. But one day I trust myself and I tried, and since then I'm a big fan of watercolor. I think you can do so many nuances, and it's so easy to use. And I use it in most of my fashion illustrations, but also for architecture or designs. Like really, you can do it in every style you want. And also I use colored pencils. This is for very, very quick drawings. So I was talking about the fashion week. Most of the time it will be that. Um, and I try to reflect, yes, how you can turn fleeting moments, so the events basically, into timeless art pieces. And I think that's the power of live illustrations compared to photography. People are so touched, and that's really my goal when I draw. I want to touch people. I want to see the emotion, try to translate it through my drawing. And I think that's what's the most magical part of it. And that gives me, a reason as an artist to do it. So I have worked with a couple of clients, so Chanel a few times, IWC once in the UAE. I will show you more of my work, and Dior also. I'm working with them currently. So for the live event art, I will mostly do private events, but for brands. So they would tend to organize like an exclusive events to present, I don't know, their launch of a new perfume or just, to present their collection in jewelry. So I will be there, have my own table. It will be a few selected clients and that I will offer portraits to. Brand activations too. So for IWC, for example, and the Fashion Week. So here are a few examples. You'll see that these drawings actually were made for my first ever contract. It was for Chanel in their store in Paris for the VIP clients. It was very interesting. I had to do portraits in 10 minutes using watercolor, and I like to use my very special touch is gold powder at the end to enhance just some details on their outfits that I like. So here I enhanced that, the tweed jacket, some jewelry too. Um, and oops, this is for also Chanel, but it was another event in Dubai for their beauty clients. This is for Dior, and also this one, although we don't see it very much, I'm not sure if you see it very well. It was for Rosewood Doha. So Rosewood Doha is part of the group Rosewood Hotel. I was working for them last year in Qatar, and I illustrated their VIP clients. So it was interesting on the artistic approach was interesting because I had to both sketch the tower, the Rosewood Tower, and in front the clients who were looking at it. So that's also what I like about live illustration. You never know where your art would bring you. One day you would draw like architecture, the other day you would draw flowers, the other day you will do calligraphy. Like there is a place for everything and for everyone. This was for IWC. It was in Rosewood, Abu Dhabi this time. So I had to sketch the client's watches on a tote bag. Here again, it was very limited in terms of time. So I had like 8 minutes to draw, approximately 7 to 8 minutes on the tote bag directly. It was very nice to explore also like the watchmaking world, which I love because I had some experience in that, and I just love drawing watches. Um, I don't know if you want to ask any question, Patrick, or come back or
No, because I guess one of the funny things is that I met the team from the Rosewood Hotel
Oh, really?
I think it was just after COVID, and
Oh,
I visited the team in London.
yes.
I can't remember her name, and they were talking about the introduction of live event illustrators to the Rosewood Group because they
Oh,
own lots
wow.
of hotels. If you look up in Paris, they own lots of hotels,
Yes.
and in London they've got a beautiful hotel.
Yes.
I think I just messaged them on Instagram and I said I spotted an illustration in one of your spaces. Would you be interested in meeting? And we met, and they said, "Oh, well, we're thinking of reaching out to lots of artists and illustrators." And I think one of the things, like, because yesterday you were asking questions about how to target clients, and
Yes.
one of the things that I do is you look at the business that they represent, and if they're quite an arty hotel and they celebrate artists like the Andaz Group, Rosewood, all these different hotels, if they really celebrate art, they would be happy to listen to you. And
Yes.
I don't know how you got your job with Rosewood, but that's how I approach them.
Yeah, for me, it was a bit special. Like it was a special case. I was still a student. I was doing my internship at Result actually. So in a complete different field. I was in HR, and they noticed my work, and so they asked me to do a couple of things for them, a couple of special drawings, either for the internal use or for their clients, and that's how I was introduced basically. But yeah, and I'm working with the Crayon in
Yeah,
Paris now.
yeah,
And
good.
also Abu Dhabi also, hopefully.
Yeah, so I know because I've spoke to because I lecture at Marangoni in London, and they have a campus in Dubai, I think, and they're really interested in live event art illustration. So
That's good to know.
I
Okay.
think look them up because they're really interested in live event artists and illustrators because it's a fashion school.
Yes.
And they've just moved. They've got a school in Riyadh as well. But I think for you based in the UAE and all across them disciplines, I think they're the sort of spaces that you could kind of reach out to for other opportunities, knowledge sharing. Once you get into the market more. But I think this market, like we spoke to Senya yesterday, and she moved from Dubai to Miami.
Mm-mm.
And she said it was quite competitive in the UAE. But I think if you stick to your guns and you have a certain market that you're focusing mainly on the luxury market, I think if you stick to that field, I don't think you'll have any problems. They'll have set rates. You'll have the Rosewood Hotel luxury groups. I think you're in the right approach to it, and you've seen from the inside out
Mm-mm.
in a person inside commissioning. So it's kind of that learning curve. And I know Anya Kabul was the same. She was more on the other side, working with PR, and then she became a live event artist. So having an insight to what happens behind the scenes is quite
Mm.
informative, and that will speed up your journey. So it's quite good to hear you have the other side as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
And these are really these are lovely, and we did an interview recently with an agent from New York, and she was saying, your job as the creative is sometimes to initiate the suggest the ideas,
Yes.
and to kind of get them to go, I didn't know I could do this. Oh, this could happen. And then more opportunities come. Some don't, they end up taking your ideas. But your job is to constantly suggest things because things will happen. This could be embroidered, what can happen next? But you sort of art direct, facilitate more. Because the illustrations are lovely. They remind me of the old Yves Saint Laurent scarves
Mm.
with the snake, and I think there's a real nice touch there. So it would be good to see these go further, and I'm pretty sure there'll be, there's some really nice things here happening. So great, great, great work so far. Um,
Thank you.
well done. I don't know if did you have more? Yeah, you got more.
Yes, I wanted to
Sorry.
show the fashion week because curious enough, I was surprised not to see other illustrators in the fashion week in Paris. I'm the only one to do it. Like I've done a few now, and every time I'm the only one, and I'm like, it's like people are so happy with the drawings. I don't know if there are other illustrators there, but I would advise to try the Fashion Week because it's very formative. And so basically, like this, I would draw in 4 minutes, then I will film myself to and offer it to the person. So it's also like to level up your presence on social media. As for me, it was this main strategy. I wanted to attend a fashion week because obviously I like fashion, but I want to be more seen on the social media. So that's what I did at the first place. So yeah, and sometimes you can just meet very nice, like most of the time, people are very nice, very touched about the drawing. Then they will repost you in the stories. So yeah, you gain more visibility and also credibility, I would say, on the art, on the fashion level.
Yeah, I'm always shocked with the lack of fashion or illustrators at Fashion Week. There's none. Like you
Yes, that is.
said, you're one. And when we do London Fashion Week, and we if we didn't go, Fida, no one would be there.
It's crazy.
It's sad.
Because even like when you are a student, like studying in a fashion school, I think it's great to go to the fashion week and just there, even if the drawing is not as beautiful as you expected, you still like learn and it's interactive. I don't know, it's so interesting. I love to do that.
Yeah,
And I know I'm not paid for that or anything. It's just like because I
yeah.
love it.
I'm always shocked with the lack of illustrators attending, and I don't know. I'm always thinking, where are they? Like, what's
Yes,
happened? Uh,
yes.
it does. It's good news for you because it means
Yes.
you're the only one.
Yeah, true. And one of my goal now is to be able to like to be invited to a show and to illustrate live the catwalk. Like this is a goal of mine, and I don't know if any fashion brands do that. I'm not sure Chanel does, but maybe other fashion brands. Even like the preparation of the show, I think like the backstage could be so interesting. And I know Fida, you do
Yeah,
organize
yeah,
this September, I guess.
yeah.
For the castings. So yeah, it's
It's
very
it's so what I realized, I was watching the castings and I was like, why is no one documenting this? It's so sad. So this time was our first time doing the casting, and it was brilliant. So I think from now on we'll do the casting, the backstage, and obviously the shows. But the shows, the time is too fast. So I think capturing backstage, like backstage photographers, you have like probably 5, 10 minute moments.
yeah, okay.
It gives you enough, like you were saying, seven
Mhm.
minutes. You could do something really comprehensive rather than it's a quick, the model comes and goes and it's just like a dash.
Mhm.
So I think backstage is the perfect space for fashion illustrators or artists. So I think you've got the right place. And we've done a few shows in Paris, and I think my goal is to do more in Paris as well. So we focused on London, and now we've got some better contacts, and we like anything to organize it is the challenge.
Yes.
Organize and to make it happen and to navigate it all. When you're on your own, it's much easier. You rely on you, and you get on with it. So it's quite nice. And where people get there and they don't know what to do, and there's a lot of guiding.
Mm,
But we've got London, and I think it's like London's become a bit of a training camp. And then if you find the system, then Paris and as we did some stuff with Alberta Ferretti, and I think if you contact or you get contacts, I think that's the best space for you to really start. And you being there, like Richard Haynes, like all of these other illustrators who attend shows, I think just being there, it will happen, and they'll go, "You're the only one." So
mm,
it's great for you. Don't spread the word too much. You're the small audience, so you've got to keep it
mm,
small. It's niche. It's just nice to have a little group of you, so you've got someone
mm,
to talk to or bounce off. Uh, I noticed the illustrators love that when there's at least three or four of them. They congregate and they have a chat, and then they go off and draw a bit. So it's quite nice. But you get a lot done when you're on your own. You're working. You're like a
mm.
machine, which is nice, which is
True.
great.
And these are more like long-term projects. So for Fida mostly, using watercolor. I also design my own patterns, like using the Cricut machine. And I did like lots of logos, camellias from Chanel, and I like to do it because you have like a clean shape after it, and it's easy to use. So Chanel is basically my you will see lots of Chanel in my portfolio because I just love the brands. I worked for them for a few years and now they are my clients. So I just like I want to be able to reflect their style in my drawing too. I'm also very touched by the story of Gabrielle Chanel. Um, yeah, so these are also other projects. I love to custom some shopping bags. This is more exploratory, I would say. So I did lots on Chanel, but also like doing some packaging for Printemps and also like, attend some pop-ups in Paris and illustrate. This is the influencer Lena Situation, Lena Mafouf.
Yeah.
So for a pop-up, it was last year, I guess. Um, these are other watercolor projects. So I don't know if you want to. This is
No, I think it's nice to see a range of stuff, and you kind of showing different techniques. It's just, I remember if you're doing live events, people see some of these and they're like, we want that, and it's impossible. And I think
yes,
it's mastering the art of what you can deliver and what is true, because you don't want to say, well, this is what I can do, and you can't with the time. And I think that's keeping your client in this sort of zone of what's believable, is sort of the skill. And I think you've got to a good amount for the amount of time. I think that 7 minute barrier is quite nice. They probably think it's too long, but I
no, I don't think so. I think it's okay. Like they would usually say to me like 10 minutes
okay,
maximum. So
okay,
that's
that's good. Good, because we've had some people that have said 2 minutes.
wow.
So
This
we
is
we
challenging.
we we know not much is going to happen in 2 minutes, unless it's like a stamp and a pop and
Yes,
something
yes.
quite graphic,
True.
or a cut out silhouette or a collage. But no, lovely. It's great to see. I love this one with the green hat. It's really
It's
nice.
oh yeah. I'm sorry for I don't know if the sound is too loud. Is it okay?
Go on,
I
you can
don't
play it.
So okay, I did work on some beauty concepts for digital, and also I wanted to show like some concepts. I got good feedback on it, so I recorded my drawing in live of a silhouette, and I wanted to show you a bit. Maybe is it too loud
Go
or
and
is it
play
okay?
it, and we'll see how. And how long's this drawing, roughly?
Uh, this drawing, it took me, I would say 80 minutes, something
Ah,
like that.
okay, nice.
Nice, yeah. And basically, I wanted to animate it. Oops, sorry. I added some makeup after, like I I did put makeup on the drawing right after. Sorry, I don't know why it's not working. You can find it on my Instagram.
Yeah,
But I thought it was nice, and I also my challenge. And I remember Patrick, you gave me this feedback when I was participating to the Chanel fashion illustration challenge back in February, I think, or January,
yeah,
saying that we should explore more the animation uh,
good.
and I try to do something, but it's very like it's just moving like that. I'm not a big fan of animation. I don't like to draw with the same drawing, like it's not my thing. I guess I don't have the patience for that. But still, when I see all the amazing artworks you can create through thanks to animation, I think just it's mind blowing. It's so beautiful. So yeah,
Yeah,
just.
but I think these little small gifts that you've
Mhm.
made, they're that's sometimes all people want is they want to see something move quite small. And even if like the glasses moved in and then the shoe moved, they that's all very small stop frame animations. You don't necessarily need to make the glasses all rotate. It could be just like a building of the images
Mm.
and then some colors come in. So like what you've done is lovely. Because imagine if that was an animated print for a scarf. That's enough. You don't need it to be a big storytelling always is I think this small animation is lovely. So and it's well illustrated, so I think that's enough. I wouldn't
Yes,
want too much. And
yes.
this technique now you're starting to it's starting to become more comprehensive now. I think your style's much more refined. Like these two are lovely.
Thank you. So I did first, like for the process, I did first on my sketchbook, all pencils. Then I took a picture. Then I redraw it on my iPad on Procreate, and I animate it with Procreate. That's I think
Good.
it's a good tool to
Perfect.
animate.
Perfect.
And this, I was talking about the watchmaking, so I love watches. I've done, when I was business school, I was an internship at Louis Vuitton in high watchmaking, and I discovered the world of watches. And since then, I really love to draw watches. At first, it was quite tricky because you want to find perfect round shapes. You really want to pay tribute to the mechanism and so on. So you need to find the right balance using watercolor to enhance some attributes of characteristics of the watch that you feel are very luxurious or very distinctive of the brand. So these three are special order from IWC. They wanted me to draw watches around the universe of the Petit Prince. So it was very a quite nice exercise. And this is for Vacheron Constantin. So they did an exhibition in Abu Dhabi for their to celebrate their 270 years in watchmaking industry. And this was like a special art watch they designed for Abu Dhabi, and I thought it was nice to do watercolor of it. So I wasn't commissioned for this project. It was really, to try myself and to try because I thought the watch was so beautiful. I needed to paint it. Then after, like, I showed them to the watch, and they really liked it. So yeah.
Good. They're beautiful.
Mhm. And this is, as I mentioned in the introduction, I love to participate in many competitions. So this was a competition organized by a museum in Qatar when I was there at that time, with Chaumet. So they did a collaboration, and you had to design a tiara representing the heritage of Qatar. So I wanted to design more like this is the tiara I offer, like I drew, and I added a necklace. I think it was just I did, like, I knew I wouldn't be selected, but I love to participate in competition because you really challenge yourself on the techniques and you can add things to your portfolio. So I yeah just took the bet and I suggest this imaginative collection of jewelry around the world of Qatar. So this is like the sand flower, the sand rose. This is inspired from the coral. This is like the palm trees. And yeah, I just wanted to show because it's a bit different from what I do. Um, I was actually inspired to draw. I was inspired by some artists from Amsterdam. I think it's Carla Kalstad. I think I love how she blends the watercolor, how she uses the colors. So I wanted to, yeah, I was very inspired from her style and wanted to create my own style of drawings. And I like to present it in my portfolio because it shows that like I can work digital too, and
Yes.
you
And
can
and
still.
and what
Mhm.
was did you look at the who, what style won?
Yeah, yes. So the person who won is a jewelry maker,
Ah,
and that's like I saw the finalists. They were all in the jewelry, and they all
okay.
had the brands. But it was still interesting, like to participate, and I think like. You can still I learned a lot from doing this and I enjoyed doing this a lot. So yeah,
Good.
and I don't
Good.
know, I think the
They're
tiara is
lovely.
still in process. Yeah, yeah, it's very
They're
great.
lovely, and it's a very different style, but it reminds me of the old posters of the past. And I
Yes, this was also the inspiration.
Yes,
Yes,
and I think we miss the old posters of Bali and all of this.
yes,
I think the market needs these collectible posters again because it's almost become just celebrity based photography, and there seems no the art has almost gone. But I think Jonathan Anderson is going to bring back to Dior a lot of the
yes,
craft that he brought to Loewe, and I feel that there'll be a bit of a shift. We'll see more shift to craft. We're seeing it through live events. So it will move in because the desire will be there. And people will say, wow, this is really successful. Let's maybe try and move it into this field. Fashion's amazing because it moves a lot. It's very flexible. And when anyone thinks it's just photography, the next week is art. And then everyone's like, we didn't see that coming." And that's called fashion. So it moves, it's quite buoyant. So I think showing these sorts of works and playing with these sorts of works, I feel that it gives us a sense of French design anyway, the Toulouse-Lautrec, people like that, the posters of the past. So I feel there's a market always for this. As you know, with me, I'm constantly trying to push this into the fashion arena to get them to embrace illustration, drawing, and art. That's why I do it, with the hope that they kind of go, there is a place for this. So I think if we do it well enough and there's the market likes it enough, it will happen. So it's a case of keep going.
yeah. And these are like the behind the scenes slash advices I would give to anyone who's interested in pursuing a life event art career. As you mentioned at the beginning, some live event artists like come from different background, the business notably, and since I knew I wanted to do this job one day, I tried to nurture, my network, keep in contact with the people I was in the luxury industry, and try to build really this network. And that's basically how I got my first contract. I just uh, because they recommended my art, they knew me, and yeah, and that's how I made it for Chanel. And also, I was mentioning the Fashion Week, but you have other events to which you can at which you can go, where your art can be seen. It could be exhibitions, for example. It could be uh, private events, but you can still like try to go there and explain your approach. And yeah, and the Fashion Week, I think it's very nice. And also like the traditional way. And I think Xenia or Dallas mentioned it yesterday. It's approaching directly the luxury boutiques and just showcase your work. Um, this is a good method. Like to be honest, that's how I got my contract at IWC. And I think even though it's very traditional, you can still like have some results. So yeah, and also at home, just try new techniques, participate in competitions. It will you will still gain something at the end. It will enrich your portfolio, make you seen. So yeah,
I think
that's it.
someone has a question, Anouk.
Yes.
Deleta, Deleta. Let's see if I.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me very well because I'm not in a very silent space, but I read that you like went to a luxury boutique and asked directly if they needed fashion illustration illustrator, and I was thinking about it because I go often to Florence for school and other stuff. So like, are I wanted to ask if they are really open in seeing maybe an artist going directly to like ask jobs a job, or if they usually prefer that you send maybe an email or like something less direct because I thought about maybe going to Miu Miu or other shops to ask if they needed illustrators for events, but I was afraid that they would kick me out.
Yeah, I get what she's saying because that's why also my first fear when I started to do that. But I think as long as you present like professionally and not too intrusive, and also if you flatter the brand in a way by drawing a piece, a special piece of their collection, or yes, being very professional, most of the time people will not kick you out, and instead they will give you the contact to share your portfolio. I'm not saying it works in 100% of cases. To be honest, it's like maybe for me, I think I had like a 5% of people reaching me out after without necessarily a contract, just like saying, "Oh, I saw your work. We keep in touch," but sometimes no news after. But yeah, I think it really depends on how you present yourself, because you're your own brand, so you really need to pay attention to how you dress. Obviously, you're in the fashion. You need to be properly dressed, and how you phrase, how you present yourself, and mention the clients you've been working with. Usually, they feel more like the trust. Like when I say, "Oh, I work with this brand," they were like, "Okay, we see. Where do you come from?" I don't know if Patrick, you agree with
Yes.
that.
Yes, well, one thing is with luxury brands is they want alignment, so they need to know that you have a standard. And I think I can't remember who said yesterday they worked for Tiffany. It might have been Dasha, and she said the experience of working for a luxury brand is totally different than working for a mainstream brand because the expectation is there. They want you to deliver. You need to deliver. And if you deliver, you'll get more opportunities. So they see, the outcomes are very professional. You're professional. The experience was professional. And then they go, okay, there's a good piece of work here. And if you get repeat business, it means your professionalism is of a good standard, and then other brands will have confidence. And I think that's where Anouck is trying to do. And if you keep your alignment with the luxury brands, then you're not dropping where you're working. And then when the brands come to you, they'll go, okay, you work for Chanel, you work for Dior, you work for Louis Vuitton. They see your work path is that level. It's very difficult to get into that sphere, but if you can keep to that level, I think people really will go, this is what we want. So for any artist here is you have to set the sort of level of where you want to work and what brands you want to work with, because that will set the tone of the standard of your work. And I think in the work that I've done, when I worked for main brands like Converse and brands like this was before the era of Virgil, where sort of street brands were cool. Is if you worked for a high street brand or a mainstream brand, you would never work with luxury brands. Luxury brands wouldn't work with you because your standard was too low. So, you have to make decisions to keep to that standard, which is very difficult because it's a very small circuit. But I think for someone like Anouk, I think you've got this Chanel contact, and Rosewood is a good standard. And I think you like the taste of the good world of fashion. Uh, if you can keep there and stick to your guns of that level, you will do well. But it will be all very sort of small and slow, which is good fashion. Where if it's fast and paid well, uh, and you work for mainstream high street brands, sometimes you can suffer. So it all depends on the companies. And I think with Delita, your question is if you go into the stores, some of the stores have store managers, they will contact you to the PR company if they're in a good mood or not. I don't know. It's just a risk you have to take. And if you don't ask, you never know. So you kind of have to try and work your way to somebody. And I noticed, I don't know if Anouk has done this as well. If you go onto LinkedIn, you can also find people that work for these stores that are even like shop resellers or whatever they do. And they have a role, and you can say, I live in Florence. I see you work for Dior as a salesperson, as a rep. I'd love to come in and I'm a live event illustrator. If you could point me to the right person, you could get to the top quicker rather than go to the top person who doesn't want to know you. You could work your way. I always found work your way up to the right people is quicker than contacting all the top people who are so busy. They're always busy. So the junior designers, the researchers, they're the people I reach out to because they find the time to respond because they want to connect with you. Where if I'm head of a global entity, I don't have the time to speak to live event illustrators. I can just commission you and I'll tell a researcher to do it. So it's all about tactics of who you reach out to. And as Anouk was saying, going to any events, going to Fashion Week, talk to people, even if you had like a little postcard with your illustration on it that you could give to people, because a business card's nice, but it says nothing. Where if you had an A6 drawing of your work and you say, "Oh, here's a gift," and they put it on their fridge or they take it home, they'll go, "Ah, this is someone that I saw and I remember." And that's what I did when I was young and as a student and I left university, was to give people my like a A5 business, like an A5 illustration, and then I made them as well. I made them by hand, so it feels crafted by you rather than just a cheap print. So they feel like they're getting something quite nice. You have to do all this hard work. If you listen to all the speakers on here, one thing in common with all of them is hard work. So, and not frightened to be told no. Because I'm sure, Anouk, there's been many no's to the yes.
Yeah,
So
still going.
yes, but
But that's part of the
that's
journey.
part of the game.
Yes.
I get 1,000 no's and 10 yeses, and I can't get upset by that. So you have to keep accepting the no's and get used to them, and then you go, okay, I tried. It may come again. Don't worry, it's no hard feelings, and then move on. So yeah, but Anouk, it's great, and I wanted to get you on here because, and I knew you were quite new. But it's always nice to have a variety of people, and and I've seen your journey from entering competitions to doing live events, and you have a dialogue with me as well, which is quite nice. So and that kind of how it works. And then if I think, there's events in Dubai or in the UAE or wherever, we get asked sometimes, do you know anyone in these places? Now you know me. This is how the system works. So it is a case of networking, trust building, and then and also professionalism. Are you professional? Can you represent yourself? Are you going to turn up, be on time? All of these elements we kind of need to know, and it's just from this. But no, it's been great to see you, and
Same here.
we'll share the video later via. We're going to put some stuff on the website as well. We're just building it all together. I had 5 talks 4 or 5 talks yesterday, so
Yes.
I think I was zoomed out. But yes, we'll share it later, and we'll share it through our intranet as well, which is great. But Anouck, keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Congratulations, and it's
Thank
lovely
you.
to hear from you. And if you're in Paris, let us know if you're for Fashion Week. You never know if we're there. And we communicate with a lot of people in Paris. We have good contacts there, so
Great, great. Thank
we'll
you so
we'll,
much, Patrick. It was
we'll
a
keep in
pleasure. So,
contact. But
yes,
good.
yes.
Have a nice day, and thank you so much. And
Thank you so
thank you for
much.
your insight and brilliant. I love the work. Well done.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Well done.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.